I see that Jalal has started with a proverb. Suppose that he was involved in a chat with some of his friends. It's good to start with this very optimistic proverb. Where there is a will, there is a way. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So where there is a will, there is a way. Or simply, if we say it in simple words, if you want, you you can. Okay. So it's about you first, because our problem nowadays, it is human, I would say. Whenever we fail in doing something, we say that it's not our fault, fault of others, the fault of the system, fault of the circumstances, etc. But we rarely think about ourselves. So I think that to achieve anything in life, first of all, we have to do what we have to do first. Okay, do our best so that we can achieve, realize our dreams. Now, we stopped last time in the second exercise. Now, here you are supposed to uh, match the verbs with their definitions. Okay, so we have verbs 1 to 5, and we have definitions A to F. Okay, so we start for number 1. We know what we are talking about. Write 1 and then write the corresponding stretch out. Yes, the others. I'm surprised that there are so many definitions provided by students, though you had the possibility to use dictionary. As definitely, stretch out is to lie down, see, to lie down. Okay, now look at number 2. Wander around. Now pay attention here. Wander with the A so that you don't confuse with the wander with O, which is another verb. Number two, yes, that's B. Okay. Walk aimlessly. Uh, in which circumstances generally people walk, wander around, in your opinion? What do you think? In which situations? Yes, Yemna. Yes. Mm-hmm. We hope that they are thinking about a solution because when we reach the stage of walking aimlessly without knowing, it's the extreme case of despair. Very when we are lost, as Nuhaila said, and lost, big problem, hopeless. Yes, Yemna. It's not as some youngsters can do nowadays when they, especially in Ramadan, he calls his friend and say, "Let's kill time. Let's go together and kill time." But generally, when you are walking, you need to have a goal. You are going somewhere to do something. But the worst thing that can happen to someone is having nowhere to go, okay, or having a big problem and having no solution. I hope that you will never experience that. Again, if you don't want to experience that, just do your best, feed your time, and not kill your time. Because if you are young today, tomorrow you start getting old. So you will not have 20 years old all your life. Okay, but it happens when we are young. Foolishly, we think that we will be young forever, and we say we have time. I'm still young. You don't have time, and you cannot imagine how time flies, especially after you reach the 20s. That you will close your eyes, open your eyes, and you find that you are 30, then you are 40, 50, very quickly. And that's why you have to take benefit of all the time you have, and not it's like now that I'm really very disappointed with the small number of students that who attend the courses, the live courses. Though the group contains a big number of students, I don't know where are they. I hope that they are not sleeping. But Nohela, if you say that wandering help relieve stress, if you have this in mind, then it's not you have a goal. Then it's not in this context. Okay. So if you are walking, so we have a problem, we are stressed, and we walk. We cannot use the word wander. I can use the other time I walked to relax, for example. It's not the same thing. It's not the same situation. Generally, when we wander around, it's generally where we have a big problem and we are not sure what to do. Yes. Now, number three, trick out. Yes. Others. Yes. It's move forward with effort. Usually we do that when we are exhausted, and then you need to walk to go somewhere. No, no, it's not about being afraid. It's especially it's about being tired, exhausted. This is where you track out. Now, crawl, crawl. Number four. Yes, move on hands and knees. And of course, the last one, number five, to squirm around. Yes, to twist the body from discomfort. To remind you, the way to prepare for the exam in this course is simply to prepare as many texts as you can, and you can follow the model that we are working on. These are all the texts that we have worked on so far were previous exams, so it's more or less the same format. So you can choose some words in the text that you read and try to find the definitions, for example. You have texts mostly in Google. You can find text with questions. Paraphrasing, you can choose any sentences and paraphrase. And then what matters is that you don't work alone. And then you compare your answers when you finish, after assigning the time, so that you learn also how to manage your time. And then you compare your answers with your friends. Now, we start comprehension questions. First question, or maybe why did the narrator think that the first prospect was a bad idea? Okay, so I'm waiting for your answers. And do you know what's the text is talking about someone who is or about to sleep in the park. Uh, Generally, we think that only homeless people can go and sleep outside. But in many countries, nothing can be taken for granted. You can have a job, a situation, and this we have seen many documentaries about that, especially in countries like United States. You can have a car, a family, working, and suddenly, for some reasons, you lose your job, and then you lose your job. It's very quick from stable situation with a house and family. You can become a tramp, and you can be a homeless person, and this is something that shows that nothing can be taken for granted. I mean, you should not trust life. Now, here we have some answers. Yes, so here we have a possibility by Miriam. Most answers are correct. Hisham is good. Nuhaila, good. Shayma, Adija, all the answers are correct. because he would be madman. All right. So why that's why he thought the first prospect was a bad idea. Now, number two, why was the thought of spending the night in a cheap hotel disgusting? Uh, so that's a characteristic of cheap hotels. Pay attention to spellings. It's okay now. Sniff, smell. To breathe, Hisham, spelling. Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. Good. What do you mean by down and out? Down and out. What does it mean? To be or a person who is down and out. Oh. It's not any smell, it's their bad smell, so that we can have the word disgusting. So what does it mean down and out? Yes, so down and out is what Khadija talks about, having no money and no place to go. These are the people who go to those cheap hotels. Especially, we don't have this type of hotels in Morocco. Yeah, it could be a hostel, but here it's very poor people. Generally, those who have money problems go there, and then of course there is no intimity there. I mean, you can sleep in a room where we have 100 beds. Can you imagine? There are big rooms with many people that you don't know. Plus, they are homeless. Yes, that's what we say in French, sans domicile fixe, SDF. These are, in France, we talk about them. But in Morocco, we don't have this type of hotels. And of course, hotels in our mind is a place where rich people can go. It's not always the case. They have why we have those type of hotels in countries like United States, because there are more and more people who are looking for those places to sleep. That means that United States is not only, yes, it is the economy number one in the world. It does not mean that everyone is rich in the United States. Okay, there are many uh, victims, would say, of this capitalistic system who are not able to make it, or who lost their jobs for some reasons, because there is, I mean, in countries, in capitalist countries, it's rare to have a job for life. Most, if not all, jobs, including jobs that we have in Morocco, or at least they used to be for life. Like, for example, when you say teacher in the past, it was a job that you can do for life. Things are changing, and nowadays, but in United States for a long time, even when you are a teacher, you can sign a contract. So you can sign it for 1 year, 2 years, and each time they decide whether they can extend it or not, depending on the results achieved. And that's why you can imagine the stress you can live in when you are not sure whether next year your contract will be renewed. Generally, when everything is okay, normally contracts are renewed. But there is always that risk that you can be laid off for any reason, and then your life can change completely. And that's why you can see from films. You don't need to have been to United States before to know that. You can see that in films. The notion of family in many Western societies has lost its importance. You can find, for example, a man living with a woman without being married, and then because both of them next year they don't know where they would be. So you can imagine if you lose your job, you wake up in the morning, you have no job, you have no car, and you have no wife. I mean, even the wife, when you wake up, you will find that she has disappeared because, we have to to remember that it's impossible to live to have a family without money. Okay, gone are the days where we have those songs that I will marry you and we will eat olives and water and we'll be happy. This is a big lie. Okay, it is said that when poverty comes from the door, love jumps from the window, and it's no harm. I mean, when you decide to marry, to make sure that your partner has a job. I'm not saying he needs to have a very important job, but he needs to have a job. I mean, that's the strict minimum. And though, as we have said, because we are living in more or less the same system, nothing can be taken for granted. Someone can be working today, but at least when you marry someone who has a job, at least he has it from the very beginning. If things change, well, it's not when you marry someone who has no job from the very beginning that means committing suicide. Right. The concept again of a room with many beds, we have it now, not necessarily for poor people. In very touristic cities in Europe, like Barcelona, for example, where it is quite expensive to get a room in a hotel, many youngsters go to those type of hotels. They're not necessarily, you will not meet necessarily jobless people there, but especially in the summer, you will meet students who are traveling. And of course, when you are a student, you are looking for the cheapest way to spend the night. What matters for you is a bed to sleep in at night, simply because for the whole day you'll be visiting the city, I will eat outside, etc. And then at night you need to come back to bed. This concept, again, we don't have it in Morocco, and we have many places in touristic cities where you can have rooms where you can have 10 or more people living, sleeping together in the same room, and they don't know each other. That's many can look for this experience, meeting new people, etc. But generally, they are students. So we have the two cases, and they are clean. That's what matters. Yes, Hisham, that's what matters for students, is that though they are rooms where you have 10, but in terms of hygiene, they are clean, and that's what matters, is to sleep somewhere which is a clean place. And the more you have people in a room, the cheaper it is. Okay, the less, the more expensive it is. That's the rule. I remember once I've been to a conference abroad, and I looked for a cheap. It was a hostel, I would say, Uh, and when I booked via internet, I have seen the pictures on the net of this small hostel, and I liked the pictures, etc. But still, it was very cheap, and I was really, it was my first experience in booking in a very cheap hotel, and I was expecting to find very poor people around, and which was not the case. I found doctors, students, people who have good jobs, clean people. I mean, people who have a situation, tourists, again, like my case, who are not necessarily, who don't want to spend much in a hotel. But if you save some money, yes, and you have breakfast. By the way, they offered breakfast. That was in Lisboa, in Portugal. Uh, I have been there twice, and now I had the experience of going to cheap uh, hotels, and you cannot imagine. We were three with two of my friends. We were participating in a conference, and then we got a room for three plus breakfast, and we paid 150 dirhams each for the night, which is very cheap for me. I mean, especially when you are talking about, and it's in the heart of the capital, in a very important street in Lisbon, and it was not that dirty, but still, I mean, generally speaking, those hotels are, I mean, people who are not rich, who go there. Okay, now, what did the narrator do before he made up his mind? Number three. Yes, this is a very tough experience. Uh, Having nowhere, I hope that we will never experience that. Having nowhere to go, this is a very hard experience. When you have a family, you have a bed, and this is something we don't think about. We take for granted. Uh, but pay attention. As I told you, in many, including Morocco, you can never know what can happen. Sometimes it can be your responsibility. Sometimes it's not your responsibility. You can imagine you were working somewhere and suddenly the company where you are working got bankrupt, and of course they laid off all the employees, and you have no job. Generally in Morocco we go back to the family, because the concept, that's why the idea of the family is very important. Many people who have this problem go back to their families and they find help. But when the notion of the family does not exist, when the notion of the family is not important, then no one would help you, including your brothers, and sometimes you may not have brothers and sisters. It's like when, as I told you, in situations where a man is living with a woman without being married, in many situations they don't have children. And so when you don't have children, you automatically, or they have one child who has no brothers and sisters, we can imagine when this child grows up, he has no brothers, no sisters, his parents would die, and then he has practically no one to rely on in case he has a problem. And so you can become a down and out person very quickly. What does it mean to wander in a funk? No, a funk does not mean not knowing where. Yes, when you are. Yes, when you are afraid. Yes, Shayma. Especially, and also Yamna. Uh, you express, you are in panic, you are afraid. Can imagine sleeping in the street is not that easy, especially first time. And that's why, unfortunately, for those who are homeless, you can see them in streets. Unfortunately, their number is growing. I don't know whether you are, when you see them, we do as if they don't exist. They are there, and most of them, you can find that they are addicted to drugs. So in this situation, most of them, if not all, opt for taking drugs. Even if he was not taking drugs before, he would take it so that he can support the fear of sleeping in the streets, especially when you are young. So all the problems that you can imagine, you can face when you are outside at night. Very rough experience, very rough, Shaima. And you can imagine again when the weather is also it's very cold. For example, in some countries it can be snowing, and many situations people die in streets. Though they have, in those developed countries, they have places where homeless people can at least spend the night, but it's very hard. Yes. So there is fear, and there is the fact that you are hopeless. You don't know what to do, where to go. No one will accept you. No brother, no feeling of this. That's why I would like you please to give importance to the word family. Okay, the brother, the sister, the mother, parents, or even friends. Because sometimes, in case you don't have a family, having a friend, or if your family is far away, well, suppose you were working, can happen to Moroccan immigrants. For example, he is immigrant in United States, for example, and suddenly he loses his job, all the members of his family are in Morocco to help. And so he can be a very tough experience. So here he would rely on the system if they can help. Plus, if he was able to have some good friends, and if you have a good friend, he can well help. Not forever. It's not like a member of the family, but he can help at least for a period of time. Now, number four. What did he opt for at the end? And by the way, this is the option taken by most homeless people. And you can see the case of this person here is that though he is homeless, he is new in this situation. And as you can remember that he did not accept to go to even a cheap hotel because he considered himself as different from the other down and outs, though he is himself a down and out person now. But at the very beginning, we cannot realize, we cannot accept, because as I told you, uh, you have a situation, you have a job, and suddenly you lose everything. Many people cannot realize that they are in this situation at the very beginning. Yes, so this is what he opted for, going to a garden, a big park, well known in United States, Central Park. He went there because he believed that it is a safe place. Nobody can see him. And it is comfortable, more or less, because he will sleep on the grass. It's not like sleeping on the sidewalk or pavement. Sleeping on the grass can be comfortable to some extent. We are talking about a very tough experience. Now, number five. Why wasn't he discouraged by the horror stories he heard about Central Park? There are many stories, there are many films talk about events that can happen. They give me 1 second, please. You write your answers coming back. He was not discouraged, yes, because he was very tired. And when you are tired, you forget about your fear. You need is to have a place where you can sleep. Plus, there was something else that helped him fight his fear. Uh-huh, Khadija, yes. First, because his exhaustion, yes. He had also a knife to defend him, yes. So there were two reasons. First, his exhaustion was greater than his fear. Plus, he had a knife to defend himself. So he is expecting the worst. In case in case he is attacked by someone, by a madman or by other homeless people, you cannot because this is experience that we don't know. We hope that we will never experience um, in the night world. Most of us go home when it starts to get dark, and then the city, becomes a very different, dangerous city. It's the world of homeless people, drug dealers, of dangerous people. That's why it is unsafe to go alone at night. And if your parents worry if you're late, they are right. Sometimes when you are young, we say our parents exaggerate. I'm going out with my friends. Yeah, you are going out with your friends, and sometimes at some place you may say goodbye to your friends, and you find yourself alone for some time. And this short period can be very dangerous because you don't know the type of people you can meet in those circumstances. I'm not talking about women, because without saying that women going out at night is the worst thing they can do, um, whether in Morocco or anywhere in the world. Now here, number six. Now here you What can you say about the narrator's personality, just from what you have read? Now, here it's your opinion. Yes, so we have meaning there is no one answer. Most of the answer mentioned by fact that well he is brave. Uh, well, brave. We can wonder whether because it's not a choice to sleep outside. But sleep, he since he has the possibility to go to those cheap hotels and he did not go, we can imagine that he is brave enough to dare sleeping in the street. Yes, so we have many possibilities. All of them can be possible. Now we move to what matters is that you justify your answer. Okay. Yes, Fatem Zahra, you're right. Is not um, someone who is accustomed to sleeping in the street. It's he's experienced this as a new situation, and you remember the big crisis that happened in the United States, financial crisis. Um, many Americans found themselves in the street, though they used to have jobs. Now, what happens in the United States, as in many countries, in many capitalistic countries, is that many Americans borrow a lot of money, and you can borrow as long as you have a job. And many people, it's a common practice in United States that people have more than one job, especially those who have. So you can be a taxi driver in the morning and a waiter at night, and of course, this is when you are young, you can do that. You can be very tired, but you have money, more or less. More money that you can get if you have just one job. And of course, when you have two salaries, then you can afford borrowing money from a bank to buy a house, for example, to buy a very good car, sometimes more expensive that you can normally afford with one job. And then you can live with, you can marry or even live with a partner as long as you have money. For those who have children, they can send them to private schools. Most of the schools in those capitalistic countries, you need to pay. And then suddenly, as a consequence of this financial crisis, you lose, many of them lost their jobs. Automatically, you lost your jobs. You cannot pay the money you have borrowed for the house or the apartment you have bought. You cannot, because the car you bought is also was you borrowed the money to buy it. So you lose the car, you lose the house, you cannot send your children to school, and your life is destroyed in a second. And most of the people nowadays, they calculate for example, you get an amount of money, you take the calculator and you calculate, I have to spend in food this, and then I have to spend in rent this, and then I have to spend and then I have this left, then I can be able to borrow money, for example, to buy something. But it is calculated, and we don't take into considerations emergencies. People rarely save money, sometimes because they don't have enough to save first, or sometimes because we tend to make the mistake of engaging ourselves in while you can afford, for example, to buy an apartment of 50 meters square, you buy an apartment of 200 meters square, which is too expensive generally for you. But as long as you're working, you can manage. But if you lose your job, automatically you lose uh, you lose everything. All right, now we start paraphrasing. We start with number one, please. You write number one, and as we did before, we will pick up one or two suggested sentences from, and then we can compare. Yes, I see that we have very good sentences. So we take two choices. Okay, so we start with number one. Stop writing, please. And first, um, compare with the original sentence. If you have before looking at spelling problems, whatever, first, in terms of content, if you have any remark, you can, of course, suggest a way to say it in a better way. So here we have night was approaching, and we have here the suggestion it was getting dark. What do you think? And here I'm reading here the first Fatim Zahra Baqqali, very good way of paraphrasing. Very good one. Yes, so good. Now everybody think that it was getting dark, night was approaching. It's okay. And before too many hours had passed, she has paraphrased, and before it becomes super late. Is it okay as a way to paraphrase? Before becomes super late. What do you think? Yes, is it acceptable? Or if you think that something needs to be modified. Yes, before a lot of time had gone by. Yes, Miriam. So this is yes, a lot of time. Too many hours are talking about time. Yes, maybe you can simply say before it becomes very late. Okay, or before a lot of time. Suggestion of Miriam is good. So here, what I have just a remark about super, better, seen. We don't say a long of time, a lot of time, Karima. Before a lot of time had gone by, yes. Okay. Now I would have to find a place to sleep. Now, I would have to find a place to sleep. What do you think? The way your friend has paraphrased. Now here, yeah, first a spelling mistake, but I guess you want to say here manage. Yes, but still, I need to manage a spot to spend the night. What do you think? Is the sentence correct? Uh-huh. Yes. Pay attention to the use of the model when you say I need, it's a necessity. But when we say I have to, it's an obligation. Yes. If you want to keep the same tense, I would. First, we need would. Yes. But what about manage a spot? Yes, to look for. We don't say to manage a spot. Does not work here. To look for somewhere to spend the night. Yes, the word spend the night was good from her. Uh, yes, I think that the suggestion of Marim is good. Okay. We need to look for somewhere to spend the night. It was getting dark before a lot of time had gone by. I would need to look for somewhere to spend the night. I think that now the sentence is acceptable. Now look at number two, sentence two, and then if you have any suggestion or if it's okay. It says that Har says that evening does not mean dark. What do you think? Where exactly start the period of the evening? At what time? Before? Does the evening takes just the period 4 p.m. is the evening? No. Yes, it's after 6. Okay. But after 6 up to when? When we talk about evening, we talk about from 6 or 7 um, p.m. up to what? And all this period is called evening. It's not up to 8. No, it's up to. So the evening, normally evening starts from about, I would say from about 6 p.m. to the time when you will sleep. That's what we talk about evening. Of course, here, why I did not mention a time, because there are some people who sleep at 10 p.m., others who sleep at midnight. But whatever is the period when you sleep, generally, that includes evening. So I think that the word evening here is appropriate. Okay, especially that this person is thinking about where to sleep. And of course, when you are yes, but we're not talking about, so okay, now not talking about exceptions, those who sleep. Yes, you have all type of people, but generally speaking, people sleep before midnight. We hope that, um, because the more you stay awake late at night, the bad it is for your health. Some people, especially when we are young, we take a chance, especially now with internet. When everybody is asleep, then you can watch the programs you like, etc., and you can spend sometimes 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and people are still looking at. And you can imagine if you are awake up to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, when you can wake up, and this is not the way if you want to adapt yourself and to look for jobs. And that's why those young people who are unemployed, they make the big mistake because they are lost. They don't know what to do. Well, now Ramadan is an exception, maybe, but still, I mean, because we are working, you cannot, and because children are studying also, you cannot stay late for a long time. Uh, it's not like in the summer, for example, in Ramadan was in the summer. Well, more or less, holidays for those who have holidays. But when you work, as I told you, the big mistake done by unemployed people is that they youngsters is that because they don't want to meet those who are successful in their life, so they prefer to stay awake very late at night, sometimes nearly till the morning, and then when people are going out to work, they are sleeping because they want to, as if they are lying to themselves and to people around. It's as if they are working, but in fact they are sleeping. And you can imagine, if you sleep during the day and wake up at night, when will you find a job? You think that people will come to your door and knock at your door and saying, please, would you like to work with us? Nobody would do that. That's why if you are jobless, the worst thing you can do is to sleep during the day, because it is during the day where you can wake up even very early and look for a job here and there. I'm sure if you look for a job, but it's not the job who is looking for people, it's the other way around. Now, number two, what do you think about sentence number two? So we said evening is acceptable as a word. What about the sentence of your friend? Is it a good way, or if you have any remarks, something that should be changed, or if it's okay, say it's okay. Had spent, I don't get where you want to put it, Hisham. Does you want to add to, what you would like to put? Yes, Yamina. So what do you suggest if you don't use lie down? You're right. When you lie down, it's not like sleeping. Yamna is right. When you lie down for to have a rest, it's not for a long time generally. Whereas when you want to sleep, it's for the whole night. To spend the night is a good way to, yes, what I could spend the night. Yes, but pay attention, lie down, it's not like sleeping. And you can lie down, not necessarily on a bed, by the way. You can lie down on a sofa. Or, um, that's possible to lie down. It's not like sleeping. Yes, so to look for where I could spend the night would be, we have used there, would be better. Spend the, the night. It's not about lying. Yes, yes. When you lie down, you can lie down even on a sofa, which is not that comfortable, but it's not about sleeping. It's just about when you go home from, when you are back home and you are tired, you want to have a rest, and it's still not bedtime. You lie down, but it's not sleeping. Good. Now, have a look. Now, I think that the two sentences are okay. Now, look at number next one. I had not given a serious thought to this problem. So, waiting for your answers. So, here I have a suggestion. Okay, now we start with number one. I would like your remarks about the suggestion of your friend, number one. I had got I had not got any idea for this difficult situation. What do you think? Any remark? Serious thought. Yes. Earnest idea. Situation, issue. Yes, if you mention difficult because we have problem, I think difficult situation is okay for problem. Genuine idea, yes. Shaima has just a genuine. Though the word genuine is more about being real or sincere. I think that idea is good. Serious thought, thinking. Yes, he got no ideas. He hadn't got any idea, any. Though the word earnest, but we talk about a person who is serious. Say he's earnest. Yes, it works. But we're talking about an idea. He didn't take the issue into consideration. Yes. Now. Yes. Because it's a new experience. What about had not an idea for this? What about the preposition here? Is it okay? Yes, better use about. Yes, about better. Yeah, we can add the adjective relate to serious, but in case we don't have one which is close, I mean, if we keep just idea, I think the sentence is okay. Got any idea about this difficult situation? Now, look at number two. I had not thought thoroughly into this issue. Is there any remark about this sentence? Yes, about again, preposition, or about better, about this issue. I had not thought thoroughly or seriously, also possible. Good. Now, number three. Number three. We have suggestion. Yes, so we have here many suggestions. So look at the example of your friend and give me your remarks. I became conscious that I could not find a better alternative than the huge and deserted park as I stared over its fence. Now here, become if you have any remark or if you think it's a good way to paraphrase. So here, uninhabited park. She choose deserted park. Yes, it's not unusual. No, no. Yes, it's good. MS says it's good. A better alternative. Yes. Nothing better was going to present itself. It's like I have no other option. Okay, he has no other option apart from uh, opting for the deserted park. And we know why he opted for the deserted park, uh, because there is less risk of being attacked by someone, safer, he thought. Yes. All right. Fence. You know, the word wall can have many meanings. Now here she has replaced with fence, though fence is a bit different, but we could accept that generally gardens or parks, they are surrounded with a fence that could be acceptable as the fence is different from a wall. So if we look at images of a fence, we see these are examples of fence. But if you see this picture here, this is a fence, and this is generally mostly used when we have gardens, because we would like people to be able to see the green place at the same time to keep them people or undesired people to come inside the garden. So fence would be acceptable as an uh, and or enclosure. Yes, Mariam is also good. Yes, so he jumped the wall. Yes, because the normally those gardens close at night. All right, so we will stop here. We will continue, and I will publish the next text. We start next time so that you can prepare. All right, thank you very much. Wish you the best of health, and please work. And you have no time for sleeping. Do your best, and there is a will. There is a way. We end up with this optimistic note, hoping the best for all of you. And you have to believe in yourself and not to be pessimistic and to do your best. This is all you have to do. Do your best, and I'm sure that you'll make it, inshallah. Goodbye. Take care of yourselves. See you next time, inshallah.